The Bernina Free Hand System, or FHS, as sometimes it's abbreviated, is this bar that slides into the inside of the machine at this point. So if you have that option, all you need to do is slide it in, and you're going to notice that it goes in about 630 as the angle that you're using. Now, what is this exactly? This is not the foot control. This is not the power of the machine. I know there was some machines years ago that used to have that, and you would use your knee to actually run the machine. This is actually all connected from mechanisms that go this way as well as up and around to the foot. This will lift and lower the presser foot onto your fabric. So what I want to do is show you how I use it and how it can save you a lot of time. So right now the presser foot is in the locked up position. This also allows me to keep my hands always on my fabric. So here we go. So when I want to start to sew, I can take my right knee, slide it all the way over, and I heard a little click. The little click is the lever in the back coming down kind of off of its little rocker there. Now the fabric, or the foot, is on the fabric, and as I sew, then I'm ready to go. If I have my needle stopping in the down position, then I can use my right knee, lean up against it just a little bit, not a lot. And you can actually have the foot come up just enough so you can pivot the fabric, and then as you go. Now, do you notice that down here, I'm actually sewing with my left foot. I tend to do that when I use the presser foot lifter, because if I try to lift and sew and lift and sew, you end up doing it both at the same time, and that's not right. You don't want to be sewing with the foot like partially up. That does not work at all. So it's actually best if you move your foot control over to your left foot. I know it sounds awkward, but believe me, you tend to only do these two operations not at the same time. They stay separate in your mind. Believe me, you have to try it. So here's how it's going to look. So as I go, I can be sewing along, and then I can even just use my scissors. I can use the scissor button. Then watch what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to go ahead, take my right knee, lean up against the presser foot lifter just enough so the foot comes up, I can get my fabric out, and then I'm going to let it come back down on the throat plate. So it doesn't lock it all the way up, but it does come down on the throat plate. So then I'm going to just lift it enough so my fabric slips underneath and start to sew. Again, if I need to do any turning or finessing of fabric, that is maybe, you know how sometimes it gets a little wavy on top, you can kind of lift it and let it kind of relax and ease it in. If you're working on curves, that's a great way to do it. If you're doing applique, look, your hands are completely in control of your fabric at all times. And I think it actually is a faster way of getting your foot in and out. And then you're not reaching behind here every time, lifting your foot, lowering your foot, lifting or lowering. It's so much easier. So once again, I'll do the little scissors, and then I will use this, lift up the presser foot. Now, one other thing that this actually does, and when I do want to let that foot come up and be locked up, I'll reach behind the machine and actually physically lock it up like normal. The other thing that you're going to notice is that your feed dogs, when you're using this, actually lower when the foot is raised. So that actually gives you even more distance than if your feed dogs were up and you were just putting your fabric in normally. So if you have something really thick, you're going to find that the feed dogs lowering plus the foot actually going up, do you actually see that? It actually goes up higher than when it's locked up, and you can get a really thick piece of fabric in there and then be able to stitch right through it. It is such a time saver. So if you have this and you're not using it, get it out, give it a try, give yourself a couple days using it. If after that you don't find that that's useful, then, well, then that's okay. But it definitely is a time saver. So if you don't want to save time, don't use it. Here's one other thing. I have the slide-on table on the machine. And so if you do put this actually in place and you are sliding it and you need to go underneath that presser foot, remember what I talked about with the feed dogs lowering? If you use the freehand system to slide, to hold that foot up, then it will go underneath it and you don't have to reposition it every time you want to move it. You can just do that. And then it just slides right off the end with a little push of the button. Check out the slide-on table video that helps you understand more of these two uses all together. So tell me that you're going to get this out, use it, give yourself a little practice time, and I guarantee that you will be using this every day from here on out if you practice.